This is Morning Perfect Base. I'm Van Velding, and I'm going to be working on my perfect base. Going to do it a little bit each day, and at the end of a few months, it's kind of dark out here. Going to go to sleep, and then maybe start over. It's got no goddamn telling. Come on, it's dark enough. It's dark enough. There we go. Fucking finally. At the end of a few weeks, we're going to see how far we got. First story today is that we found some fucking rocks. Rocks in North Africa. Now, we expect rocks to be there, but not these rocks. These rocks are probably maybe tools. We don't know. They were 150,000 years and 3,000 miles away from where we would expect these rocks to be, because these rocks were tools, early tools, chippers. Apparently, anthropologists know all about this shit. They look at a rock and they're like, that's not a rock. That is a chipper. A chipper from 1.9 to 2.6 million years ago. Which, for me, biologically modern humans are only 200,000 years old. So, when these guys talk about the Oldowan culture, which, God, I had no idea anthropologists were as good at naming things as astrophysicists. So anyway, so when they talk about the Oldowan culture, Oldowan Kenobi, they're talking about a non-human tool-using culture, which, yeah, okay, ravens do it, birds do it, bees do it, educated fleas do it, but I mean, it's so weird to think of semi-intelligent human things using tools, that tools have been around longer than human race. Oh god, fuck. God damn it. I choose not to learn from this, but instead to try that jump again. Check the head. There you go. See? Learning. Tool use. Maybe, perhaps. Don't ask too many questions. So, anyway, they're really far away from where we know tools have been used before, and that 150,000 years is a long time to be off on the tool use. So lots of people are being skeptical about it. They're like, are they tools or are they rocks? Are the marks on the bones that they were used to chip the meat off of like chipping marks used by an intelligent thing using a tool? Or were they like, oh, goddamn glass. Or were they alligator bites? I mean, there were no hominid bones around here, so who was using them? If not the usual suspects of people that just weren't humans, but were like humans, but weren't humans. Potassium argon dating, I guess, doesn't work in that region, and I'm gonna let that slide as though I actually know what that is. I mean, you know, radioactive decay, creation of isotopes, blah, 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 but, you know, I did click on a link about potassium argon dating, and then I thought, wow, there's so much in this world a man could masturbate to, so I kind of kept on going. Right, so apparently what they do use to date things over there, which is a much shorter read than radioactive decay, is periodic reversals of the Earth's magnetic poles, which, fuck it, I'm not getting that slide back. Bye, buddy. Just stay up there for, glass every, you fucking, glass everywhere. You fucking, alright. More glass. And more, gotta go all the way, get a torch there. Gotta go all the way around just to get to this freaking place. The reason I'm having so many problems is because I refuse to wholeheartedly destroy 12 panes of glass. And I am going to go home at some point. I'm going to go to Perfect Base 3. This is Perfect Base 4. I'm going to go to number 3. And I am going to get my Silk Touch pickaxe. And I am going to break these dozen or so panes of glass. Because I am an obsessive weirdo about saving things in Minecraft. Save all the things in Minecraft. Anyway. GM laid off 14,000 people. Those people are all jobless now. And President Trump... Okay, actually GM is making this military 4x4 fuel cell powered ZH2. It's like hella quiet, has a low heat profile, and looks pretty fucking sweet. It is a headliner against any sort of promise that the president made that he could not keep because he was lying, because he was 100% lying. The ZH2 can get 200 miles off a tank. I mean, not like a literal tank, like a top up of fuel can get it about 200 miles of travel. It can't like outpace an Abrams by 200 miles. That's not what I'm saying, because we're talking about military spec gear. Also, because it's a fuel cell that gets energy from mixing hydrogen and oxygen, it produces water as a byproduct. And they want soldiers to drink that. And whether that water is not pure enough or too pure, I don't see any big barriers to doing that. So if you're interested in cool future tech, or maybe you're running an RPG set in the future, the ZH2 is definitely something cool to look into. Just to put it in your pocket. Put it in your pocket there. What's happening here? Oh, a lot of magic artists are going on strike. I guess back in the day, I get sunlight going all the way down here. So each of those doors are going to have sunlight on it. Each successively higher balcony is smaller, so that the next lower balcony can get direct sunlight, so that the doors on it count as squares for whether or not it spawns a villager. So that's why that design, and I kind of want to make sure it works. And then the curvature of the back end of those balconies is also going to cut off some doors. And that's why you see some of the glass panes in the balconies on the lower level, is because it comes out too far from that perpendicular wall for that blank space to leave the light in front of the door. So I'm just using glass there as a very, very ugly compromise. What are you going to do? Anyway, back in the day, whenever Magic the Gathering artists would go to an event, the people who were running the event were like, oh, hey, Magic artists, let me get you a room. Let me get you some air tickets. We really want you here. Ben Foglio or whoever. And then the artists would go, and they would have like a free table. And then like people would come up and they'd buy stuff from the artists. They'd pay for signatures. They'd buy merch. And then maybe the artist would like run a drawing class or something, because it's basically a con. So you have events there, and one of the events is like real magic artists teach you to skills of an artist. And they don't do that anymore. So the magic artists are going there, paying on their own dime, buying hotels on their own dime, getting these very small, still free admittedly, booths, but they have to pay to upgrade their booths to something bigger. I know there's been some complaints about the lack of secure storage for their equipment. Oh, okay, yeah. And so at first glance, this is a business issue, which neither you nor I are qualified to speak on, not being magic artists or magic event organizers. But these events use the presence of artists to promote the events. They have artists run the workshops, they staff panels. There's a lot of work that these magic artists are asked to perform, and I have to remind you, they're paying out of their pocket to show up. These event coordinators want the draw that is these artists showing up and doing the work for their event. And if they want that, then yeah, pay the artists. Like, I'd say something facile like, I support the artists here, but my support is nothing but jerking off, honestly. I don't go to these events. I provide so little support to the magic community that me withholding or reallocating my money or my time or my whatever the fuck, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. So I am just passing on the information to you. In case you give a damn, in case you are a big magic person, in case you would like something to be angry about, I think this program is a fantastic source for that. It is no John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, but it's if John Oliver's Last Week Tonight was done with 3 hours of work a week on a YouTube channel with no budget, we would be in the same category for the Webbies. We would be neck and neck. I would still lose because of the British. You cannot beat the British accent. Like, you just can't do it. It's too charming. I've listened to a lot of YouTubers, the adorable British ones, the adorable English ones, Scottish, Irish, all of the ones from the Golden Isles. You just can't beat it. It's this. They could, I'd have stiff competition from, unlikable British guy reading the phone book. Rob Corddry is not Nigel Farage. There we go. If Nigel Farage had a YouTube channel, he would be stiff competition in the entertainment category. I'd say reading the phone book, but the things that Nigel Farage says enough are sub phone books. So I mean, I'm just saying, he's a natural entertainment competitor. This is a cool one. Washington D.C. has put their laws on GitHub as an authoritative source. That's where Washington D.C.'s laws are kept now. The story is a nerd. He finds a typo in a D.C. law. He submits a pull request for the correction, and the lawyers for the city review the pull request, and they approve it, and they update the HTML. Very basic story. Very cool story. Like, it seems like such a small thing, but boy, that was a ways down. Initially, you may notice that there are some floor-like, room-like designs in the floor of this level. My first pass was that this was going to be additional rooms. That is not the case. This is going to be the garden spot of SETI Alpha 6. They're actually, double checked the diagrams, and what do you know? Farms go up here. No word on the massive hole I left here and how the farms affect that. I improvised, and I should have known then that no, I shouldn't improvise. I should just look at the plans harder, because this is the perfect. I have pages of acid-free graph paper that I have made this on. This isn't something I'm doing from the hip. And the laziness monster sometimes gets on my shoulder, and he's like, "Don't know what to do? Why don't you just make it up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be real easy, laziness monster. Thank you, man." And he is always a fucker. That guy is always a fucker. I am worried, though. I celebrate progress in government always. What electronically changing the approved upon text of a law could allow, right? We all remember, pigs rewriting the rules in the middle of the night on the side of a barn. And laws aren't written in HTML, which means there has to be some clear enforced policy translating laws into HTML, which is so reasonable. I am instantly confident there are none. The alternative is just writing laws in HTML, which means you're going to get addenda to shut down Planned Parenthood in the alt text of an image file faster than you can say righteous conservative obstruction. I just, it just seems bad. It just seems bad, and I feel like people aren't doing it correctly, which is how I feel about everything all the time. I have never seen a person performing any task, no matter how exotic or competently, that I didn't instantly think, what if they're doing that wrong? It's just a brain thing, I guess. I am encouraged. I'm encouraged, right? Handling documents smarter and more electronically is better. I am still amazed. We don't have a personal info app, which lets a document read a barcode from your phone to fill out your information. I don't know. There'd be little pop-ups or something to separate barcodes for trying to read SSNs or medical data or whatever. But you can just be like, hey, oh, could you fill out the census? I'd be like, hell yeah. And then I'd barcode it up, and they'd scan the barcode, and they'd be like, blip, blip, blip. And they'd read the information back to you to make sure they got it right or whatever. And then they'd be like, hey, thanks for taking our survey. And then you'd be done. Thank you for taking our survey, or applying for a job, or signing up for your account on the web zones. Just something. Something that isn't me filling out stupid press pulp paper with stupid ink on it with a fucking pencil, and then I write my own address wrong because I thought about one time when I was in 6th grade and threw away a Valentine by accident, and Brooke McDaniels got angry at me. And so suddenly I'm looking down and I'm in the wrong city. I'm like, I lived in that city 4 cities ago, and I gotta write through it. It's where I live every day. It's where I get my mail. It's where fucking everything for the past 6 years has been addressed. But no, fucking wrote it wrong. and with my stupid ape hands and my stupid ape brain, and I don't know why I still have to do this. I don't know why I can't have a barcode on my stupid phone, and then I can stand with another person and we can just whoop, whoop, get our phones closer and further together. Like, I can't read it. I'm like, oh, it's there. It's good. I know it works. And he's like, I don't know. This happens a lot. It's the Tuesday. It's the touch screen. And we can just do that for an equivalent amount of time. And at the end of it, if we're both frustrated, we can just be like, fuck it. Fuck it. We can throw our phones at each other and then we just leave. And that sounds way more efficient than filling forms out by hand. The thing I'm doing here is that I am... God damn it, failed step 1. Okay. Right here. Okay, this is going to be the upper deck. The upper deck of the central area of perfect base. And I'm just going to plot it out. Because I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to lay down the whole thing. Starting with the perimeter. And then I'm just going to... everything that's above it. Just... and I'm going to do these little half panels, which I should be able to do now more of, because if... Oh, is this oak or dark oak? Probably dark oak. Anyway, because I'm actually running short on oak here, of all fucking things. But doing things electronically is so reasonable. I get angry. I get angry that it isn't just how we do things. Because I know the only reason that we don't just do things electronically is because of stupid motherfuckers who still profit from the backwards, ad hoc, shitty, imprecise way we do things now. There's some guy going, like, oh, if he didn't fucking fill out that form wrong with his address that he writes out 20 times a fucking day, God, I'd have slightly less money. It's fucking terrible. Or even worse, I'm afraid I might have less money. So we're not doing electronic stuff. We're doing it all paper still. I know what paper's like. Things that aren't paper scare me. I don't know. This was supposed to be a happy article about progress, and I'm actually angry now. I'm angrier now than I was when I started. How extreme weather is shrinking the planet. This is my recommended read for the day /week / with whatever periodicity I recommend reads. Hard reads. I think it's like 3 blocks. Is it? Yeah. Yes, it's 3 blocks. It's 3 blocks on the diagram. So anyway, it's a very long New Yorker piece on climate change. It's comprehensive, okay? It's a long piece on climate change, but possibly the last climate change piece you'll have to read for the year. Well, that's not a great promise in December. For the next 6 months, if you read this, you do not have to read a single climate change article for the next 6 months. And if anyone asks why you're not reading this new article on climate change, you can just say, hey, guy on the internet. So anyway, Exxon knows, they knew about climate change in the 80s, and they're like, oh, that sounds, is it bad? Is bad the word? Well, I have $1 million and I'm free from consequences. Help us drill oil? And they're like, it can help us drill for oil. Let's do that then. Fuck it. So then they actually deceive and they confuse the public to prevent us from stopping it. The article includes the effects of global warming from the thawing of infertile northern reaches of Canada to the inevitable pullback from the U.S. coastline, even as we deny that it's happening. And of course, the death of Pacific Islands as saltwater overruns their water tables. It is broad, informative, and infuriating. The final analysis is not that humans are stupid and selfish. It is that the most powerful of us are selfish and believe that they are immune to the consequences of their own actions. The more I live, the more I believe that there is just no reason for wealthy people to exist. There's no merit behind that wealth. And they just can't be trusted. They don't want things to change. We accept the terrible history of the past. We accept the moral failings of the past. We accept that it was morally inferior, and yet we say, well, everything's good now because this is whenever I'm alive and happy, and therefore now is better than then. And if we change now, it might be worse for me. My whole country is not full, but easily typified as being so complacently afraid. We don't have the wherewithal to expand this lead because we've just learned to have it. And we will literally kill anyone to keep it. Just because we're afraid of what happens next, just because we lack the character to say, hey, we should take from ourselves to help others, to make the world a better place, to create a more secure, more egalitarian future, which we ostensibly believe in. To believe in charity, which we... that teaches me about preaching. And button here. To be about charity that we ostensibly believe in. No. It's all about maintaining the status quo. It's all about trying to always keep the ground that we just lost and regain that ground. I've played enough games of Risk to know that that's not successful strategy. Yep, 3 blocks, and that is in the walls. Sorry, I'm just checking that thing here. I'm trying to check my plans. God damn it! Maybe I'll cut this later. Maybe I won't. But yeah, it's 3. So like there's the great Picard speech. Have we become so afraid that we would condemn a man? Anyway, when he was running for president, George H.W. Bush promised to fight the greenhouse effect with the White House effect. The people have been willing to fight against this for a long time. That's the only reason politicians say it, because we want to fight against it. Now, maybe we're not ready to sacrifice of ourselves to do that, but ideally, we're ready to do it. There's an urge to fight climate change. In Colorado, a recent initiative to rein in fracking was defeated after fossil fuel interests outspent their opposition by 40-1. That is 40-1. Come on, it's pretty dark. Dark. Come on. Dark. There we go. It's that the few people who feel that they can benefit from this have so much power that they can deceive and lie to folks on a massive scale for money when they already have that much money. This is the flaw with the free market and capitalism. People aren't stupid. We just rely on the people around us for information. And the people charged with informing people need money so they can be compelled to labor not to serve society, but to serve those with money. That's not an insurmountable flaw with the system, but you can only surmount those flaws if you acknowledge them. And if you support these systems, and if you refuse to grapple with those flaws, you will eventually find those systems scapegoated and torn down around you. That's just the fact of it. Adapt or die. That is a universal law. I don't know. If you're the sort of motherfucker who believes that democracy is flawed because of its egalitarian precepts, but that the free market is not because wealth tends to pool with certain types of people, you do not believe in the principles of universal rights and freedoms that my country is built on. And you absolutely don't belong here. You should just get the fuck out of my country. But of course you're not. You're not in my country because you love it. You're in my country because it's where the opportunity is. And you're just here to suckle off the teat of it. And to let everything burn once you're gone. On a lighter note, Amazon possibly has the tools to make, god damn it, yes, called them both, algorithmically generated procedural fiction. Because this one's from Quartz, which is new to me. Like their QZ.com, which I honestly thought was GQ because I never paid any attention to it. And I store Z next to G in my brain space for letter spaces. Amazon has everything it needs to make massively popular algorithm-driven fiction. Promising title. The point is that Amazon has a ton of ebooks. That gives them a lot of data about what sells in books. They got the Kindle, which tracks user reading habits. Amazon actually had a page turners feature which listed books which were finished in 3 or fewer days on average, because they can tell how quickly it takes a person to finish reading a book. They can tell what page you stop on. So they know the parts of the books that lose readers, that keep readers. It's interesting to think about. So they can start working to algorithmically determine what makes a book successful, and to start writing those books with neural networks and AIs. I mean, they have the data set, the computational resources, and every motivation to do it. When you consider that they might release procedurally generated novels under a pen name to prevent readers from thinking that they're reading something auto-generated, and that because people are gonna be like, oh, it was made by a robot, it was not very good. But if you're like, oh no, this is Susie Philharmonic from Pennsylvania, then people can be like, oh, it's fine, Susie Philharmonic's the greatest. So we may already be reading them. Like, they may have already been doing that. This entire article is conjecture, but it's not far-fetched conjecture. Like, it's I'd say it. I don't think books are that complicated. I mean, obviously good books, probably. But I mean, a pretentious, complicated book probably reads the same as pretentious AI-created drivel. In terms of yellow press, like standard adventure books and shit. I mean, that's probably nothing. That's probably nothing at all to make. We're doing. The DoD's like, as I wrote this, it was morning, and now it is evening times, and in the interim, news has broken about a French woman who was hit with a tear gas canister, and she died. And this is a whole article about less than lethal weapons, but I am actually almost out of time. Perhaps next time. God damn it, can't even go downstairs, right? So I think that's it. So until I get a good sign off.